Now, the last time we had a SEAT Ibiza on our channel, you guys really enjoyed that video, and I also like the car. And I'm hoping that is going to be the same thing with this new facelift that we got. Last year this one came out, and then there was a couple new colors that came out in March of this year, which one of them is standing right here, the Hypnotic Yellow, 890 euros. And then there's also Laminal Red, which is another one that is new. Looks quite good in my opinion, fits the car, quite stylish. Now the starting price for a SEAT Ibiza is 19,910 euros in Germany. And when I tell you the full price, the way it's standing here, basically completely specced out, we're looking at 37,000 and some-ish money, which is already quite a lot for a SEAT Ibiza. But if we look at the competition, we'll talk about that in a second as well. How does it compare to that? Let's talk about the front design for the SEAT Ibiza. They have changed a couple of things. For instance, we get this new hexagonal design in the center with a matte aluminum finish. Looks quite good. We have the FR Black edition in here, which means we get the SEAT logo in the front in black, for instance. New design on the bottom for the front air intake up on the top and also on the up on the top and on the bottom. If you look at the design, these have gotten slimmer now. And there are also full LED lights with high beam assistance. The high beams are going to be 3 times more powerful compared to the previous ones we had, and the low beams are 2 times more powerful. And there's no fake elements here on the side. This is also going to be real element. And I love the black designs that they have, the touches in here, which fit very nicely with this color. In total, you can pick up 9 different colors. For the variants, you can get the Ibiza Style, the Ibiza FR, and the Ibiza FR Black Edition, which is supposed to give you a little bit of a discount in total. Let's look at the engine variants, because there are actually quite a lot for them. In total, we're looking at 5 different engine variants, and we have the most powerful one in here, which is the only 4-cylinder you can also pick up. So you get a total of 4 3-cylinder options, the lowest one being 80 horsepower, and those are all 1-liter engines. And you get a 5-speed manual gearbox at the start, then upgrades to a 6-speed manual gearbox with 95 horsepower, and then also 116 horsepower. And then here we have that 1.5-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine powered with a 7-speed automatic gearbox. And that is going to give you 150 horsepower, 250 Newton meters, 0 to 100 in 8.1 seconds. For the way the car is standing here with 1.231 kilograms, that would be very light, 1,231 kilograms. Makes it actually quite punchy, 8.1 seconds, top speed there, also over 216 kilometers an hour. And I mean, you are gonna have to spend at least 30,000 euros to actually pick up this engine, but it is quite a decent engine in my opinion. Let's talk about the competition of this car, and let's look at its own AG group, where we're looking at the Volkswagen Polo, for instance. Start price there, 20,380 euros. For that car, however, you can only pick up a 3-cylinder. There's no option of that 1.5 liter, which we get here, or even in Skoda as well. We can all pick that up here. But standard-wise there, you get 95 horsepower, so you don't get that 80 horsepower small engine as well. 4 meters and 7 centimeters long. But that car also hasn't gotten a facelift since 2021. Same can be said for the Skoda Fabia, start price there of 20,109 euros. Starting there also with a 95 horsepower 3-cylinder engine and 4 meters and 10 long, so a little bit longer. When it comes to the Toyota Yaris, that is also one of its competition, which however gets a full hybrid system and also an ECVT gearbox. Start price there a little bit more of 22,215 euros. 0.76 kilowatts in our big battery size, and also a little bit shorter there at 3 meters and 94 centimeters. Our car, the way it's standing here, 4 meters and 6 centimeters long, 1 meter and 78 wide without the side mirrors extended, and also 1 meter and 45 in height with a wheelbase of 2 meters and 56 centimeters. Let's talk about the side design. Like you saw here a second ago, where I was using my butt to unlock and lock the car. Look at there, works wonders. Oh, it didn't actually work. Okay, never mind. There we go. You can use keyless entry, keyless go to unlock the car, so keyless entry there. For the FR, we also get this B-pillar design here with the FR badge on there. For automatically foldable side mirrors with the FR Black Edition, we also get the housing here in the black design. Blind spot assistant you also get right there. When it comes to the rim design, we have the best, or the, not the best, but the biggest 18-inch rims on here. For the FR, you now got 2 new 17 inches and also 18-inch designs, and I really do like the design that we have on here. Disc brakes in the front as well as on the rear. Otherwise, we get the black side skirt on the bottom. We also have the optional roof, the panoramic window, which you can also open, so it's a sunroof, so to say, but it's roughly around 1,000 euros, which is already a little bit more on the more expensive side, but for a SEAT Ibiza, I really like that you can open it, put your hands out up on the top. Really do enjoy that. Rear tinted windows are also going to be here in a more black design, which I like. Fuel tank is going to be on the other side, 40 liters fuel capacity there, and the consumption, our one was 5.7 or something like that. 5.6 liters, and that would give you around 714 kilometers, I think it was, of total range. But we'll see what consumption we got during our test drive. And on the top, we can also put 75 kilograms. And the car, in my opinion, looks good from every single angle. Up on the top, you got a black roof spoiler, and we also have a little antenna up on the top, which you can also unscrew, so you can actually go down into, what are they called? Washing lane? No, I mean, it's a washing lane. A car wash! Okay, there we go. A car wash! Otherwise, SEAT logo again on black here. New Ibiza design on the back, which is in dark aluminum finish. FR badge on the right. Every variant now standard-wise is going to get LED rear lights. Again, in a very good-looking design, in my opinion. And further down, some more black design out of hard plastic here. And fake blends for exhausts. But I mean, it's an Ibiza, you're not expecting it to actually have real exhaust pipes, which come out the back. Obviously, it does have real exhaust pipes, otherwise there would be no exhaust fumes, which would make it an electric car. If you look at the towing weight, we can actually get a towing hook in here, 610 kilograms for not braked, and up to 1,200 kilograms. And then we can also have a tongue weight there of 50 kilograms. So 2 e-bikes is going to be quite hard to put on there. One would be good enough, and then a non-e-bike theoretically as well. And space in the back is 355 liters up to 1,165. If we flip out the bottom compartment here, we also have a spare tire and the subwoofer, because we have our upgraded sound system in here. Left side, you have a little bit of space there, but not much. And also a head rack up on the top. 40-60 split. And also hooks on the left side and here on the right side, not much there. And there is no lights anywhere in the back, so you can't really see much at night. And if I flip over the rear compartment here, you cannot do it from the back. Well, theoretically you can, but you'll have to stretch over quite a bit. You can see here, if I don't take out the bottom part, there's basically no lip, just a little bit of an inclination, but quite nice if you want to load some bigger stuff in here. And once we're in the back, we can see we actually still get a decent amount of space. I'm 1.80 m tall, 5'11". Seat in front of me is adjusted to my liking. Knee room is plenty. However, if I also use my knees to squish in here, there's still a little bit more pocket space right there. Foot room is also plenty. I can basically stomp in here, so that is enough. Headroom is going to be around 3 finger heights there, which is still plenty of space for my liking. If you're a little bit taller, I'd say around 1.85 m, then you'd maybe be hitting your head up on the top, but in my opinion, it's still suitable. Otherwise, it's a very bare minimum here in the back. We don't have any, well, vents in the back or even USB-Cs, anything where you can store something. If we also look at the quality on the side, that is also, well, very quickly finished because it's hard plastic everywhere. Boop, 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 boop. A little bit of pocket space there where you can put maybe a smaller water bottle, but that's about it. Seats are quite comfortable and also give you a decent amount of side support actually, but, well, okay, not the most, if I'm being completely honest. Isofix points are hidden in this small pocket here, which you'll have to open up. There's also no center armrest or any cup holders in the back, so theoretically, if you go to McDonald's drive-thru, you're not going to have anything where you can put your stuff. And here we are now in the front of the SEAT Ibiza. A couple of things have changed. Let's quickly go through those. For instance, you can actually see it a little bit right now. On the vents on the side there is now some coloring behind it, so LED lights. Depending on which variant you get a different ambient lighting. We have red there, for instance, now. The FR and the style variant now also get a black roof standard-wise, which is nice. And also down here, our inductive charging space is now cooled and also 3 times faster, which is another small change that was implemented there. Let's talk about the inside that what you get. So you get that typical SEAT steering wheel, which I absolutely love, physical buttons all throughout, and also pedals on the back, so you can actually do some manual shifting. Digital cockpit, we have the biggest one right here. You standard-wise also get a digital one, but a little bit of a smaller one. Now heads-up display, infotainment display, which I'm not the biggest fan of because it got some very big bezels on the side there, but is quite easy to use. Apple CarPlay, Android Auto integrated. Navigation. Theoretically also works. There we go. A little bit on the slower side, but I usually just use Apple CarPlay and that is going to be it. Further down we have our own climatization, so which is an automatic. If you get the standard one, I think with the style it was, or with the FR actually, no, I think with the FR, you get an own automatic climate zone, otherwise it is not going to be, well, it's going to be manual then. And down here we got our automatic gearbox, that's 7-speed DSG gearbox, different drive modes. You can turn on your auto, off, start, start and stop, whatever you call it. Start, stop, that's what you call it. And also a physical handbrake down here. 2 cup holders on the bottom, a little bit smaller, 12 volt there, and also a very small storage space in the center below our armrest. Otherwise, quality-wise on the top, this is going to be a little bit more softer. Aluminum kind of brush design here, hard plastic. On the side, we also have some scratchy hard plastic down there, but then where you put your elbow and right there with some ambient lighting as well. A little bit better material. And you can also see with the design thing there on the bottom, that symbol, we also have the sound system upgrade in here, which is also improved and also is new with the facelift model. Let's start up the car. Let's start up that engine. There we go. Ba-ba-ba-ba-bum. Reversing camera, if we look at it right there, not going to be the highest quality. Trajectory lines are not integrated into the ones in the camera, but on the side here, with also front and rear sensors. Let's remove that handbrake and start driving the car. Turning circle in the city of 10.6 meters. Well, not only in the city, but in general you get a turning circle of 10.6 meters. Quite nice. Steering wheel is also adjustable in the height and depth department. If you look out the rear window, we have a fairly big rear window, so we have plenty of space to look out there. A-pillar is quite a small one, so that is also good to have a good visibility in the city. And you also have a small window between the C and the D-pillar there, which allows you again to just have more visibility. Because the car is quite small at 4 meters and 7 centimeters, the surrounding view in general is quite good. You can see, I keep on hitting my head up on the top. You can look over the bonnet quite easily and have no problem finding a parking spot in the city because of how small it is. Reversing camera then as well. E-warning assistant and stuff like that, you can turn off quite quickly. Let's talk about that in a second. Let's go normal drive mode in here. Accelerate up 70. Engine gets quite loud, especially that 1.5 liter one at high RPMs is quite a drowny one. It doesn't sound the best, but I mean, it's a 1.5 liter four-cylinder. It's not going to sound the most amazing way, but it does tend to be quite loud. When we were driving on the Autobahn a second ago at high, like 140 kilometers an hour with 4.5, actually, no, what RPM does it go up to? 6,000. 6,000. You can see red line there, 6,000. We're looking at around 82 decibels there, but we'll head on to the Autobahn in a second as well. There you heard the e-warning assistant. If I press the button on the left side of my blinker, so to say, I can scroll down with the right button and there is Geschwindigkeitswarnung, which is e-warning assistant, so the speed limit assist kind of thing you can easily turn off via that. Or if we look in that menu as well, lane assist and ACC and limiter, side assist, front assist, stuff like that, we can also quickly turn off. When you're driving over some more uneven road here, you can definitely tell, okay, the suspension, we do also have the sport suspension here for extra 200 or 300 euros, is definitely more on the sportier side. I mean, that's what it's called. And you can definitely feel it's not going to even out most bumps. It is a little bit more of a rougher one, so over longer distances, I don't know if you really want to pick that up, but it gives you quite a good amount of side support and in general driving characteristics of a little bit more of a fun and sportier gimmicky car. Really do like that, but it just day-to-day usage is going to be affected via that suspension in my opinion. The seats we have in here are also going to be more of these bucket seats, which you get with the FR variant, give you a good amount of side support, but I tend to actually get quite hot in here quite quickly. But yeah, otherwise we don't have heated ventilated seats, we only get heated seats as you can see right there, and also if I'm not mistaken we don't have a heated steering wheel. And assistant features, we got plenty. We'll test that out on the Autobahn in a second as well. But you can also see in the mirror, we also have a blind spot assistant, which is quite useful, especially when you're driving on the Autobahn. Steering feel and stuff like that is quite nice. In general, the steering wheel feels really good in my hand. I love the thickness of it and in general how it just feels in my hand, like I said a couple of times now. Modes on the bottom here, Eco, Normal, Sport, and we also have Individual. If we press on the Individual and go into the settings of it, we can change, it's in German, but the steering input or the steering feel, the engine, the ACC, climatization, you can change a couple of those things. which allows you to individualize it to your preference a little bit more, but it's not too much play that you have in there. Let's talk about the consumption. So you can see over the long distance here, 1,566 kilometers, an average consumption of 6.2 liters. When you were driving it in kind of a combined value, city, autobahn, and also country roads, you were looking at 5.7, I think?
Yeah, 5.8.
5.8, and you were not driving in eco, in normal. So I think you can definitely get it down to 5.6 is what WLTP claims. If you drive in eco and just a little bit more eco-friendlier, you can definitely get it down there. But I feel like when I sit in this car, the car just wants me to drive a little more playful. It just has that feeling to it. You get bucket seats. It's quite an agile car with also a very good support here on the side. So a very good drive setup in my opinion. And then it's just hard to kind of get that consumption down. But if you use it in daily usage, I think that consumption can easily go down to those 5.6. And then if you want something more eco-friendly, theoretically, and fuel efficient, next year you get that mild hybrid system, which is probably going to be a lot more fuel efficient as well. And what is my final verdict for the SEAT Ibiza? Well, it didn't disappoint me. Just like last time, it is still a very fun car to drive, especially with the 4-cylinder in here. Ooh. If I'm not mistaken, last time we drove this, I think we had the 116 horsepower 3-cylinder manual gearbox variant, and that was a joy to drive as well. Design-wise, I absolutely love it. Inside and the back, yeah, maybe everything is hard plastic, but at this price segment, well, I mean, for the FI edition, maybe a little bit of softer material in the back wouldn't have been bad. It is fun to drive. Panoramic window, I would definitely pick that up. Compared to its competitors, I also love the design on this one. It's quite practical, good amount of rear space there, and in general, love the simplistic layout that you have on the inside with a lot of physical buttons. Good amount of safety features here as well. If we're looking at 2027, this car is also supposed to get a new engine variant with a mild hybrid system. Maybe we'll also review that one once it comes out. So if you guys did enjoy the video, make sure to like, subscribe. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.